Public safety.
Oh, it's cool. Good evening. I'd like to call to order the Schenectady City Council Committee for Monday, March 16th, 2026. The first committee to be called to order is Government Operations.
I'd like to call to order the Committee on Government Operations, recognizing 3 items on the agenda for today. First is the appointments of the Downtown Schenectady Improvement Corporation, presented by Mayor Gary McCarthy.
Again, submitted names and resumes. Do you have any specific questions? Executive directors here.
I just had a question. Reading the resumes, extremely interesting, well qualified to do this. So are you recommending them personally? Did they reach out to you? I'm just wondering, did you reach out to these individuals?
Yes, so these are folks that we've been in communication with for the past couple of months. Oops. Thank you. So these are folks that we've been in communication with for the past couple of months who have come as a recommendation either from the community or just as partners who make sense for the economic development of our downtown region.
Wonderful. I just wondered, it's nice that people want to step up and volunteer to take positions. It's hard to get individuals to fill positions. And again, Jean and Eric, yeah. They read very well the resumes. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Chairman, Mayor, are they required to be city residents for
No,
this board?
no. They have to be either residents or representatives of building owners.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other questions? Go on through all the appointments, Chair.
Same to motion.
So motion to go through. Motion to accept the 2 appointments, the names that you see in front of you for the appointment for Downtown Schenectady Improvement Corporation.
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried. Second is the appointment for Planning Commission.
Again, submitted a name also recommended by the chair of the Planning Commission, Randall Beach, Haley Vaccaro.
Is there any questions on the 2 names? Councilwoman?
Thank you. I'd just like to make a statement again, reading through Haley's resume. I'd like to personally thank her for being responsible enough for providing a letter from the New York State Commission on Ethics and Lobbying in Government. Thank you, so that we know that you're aware that there'd be no crossover. But thank you very much for supplying that. I think you'll do a great job.
Thank you. Is there any other questions, comments, or concerns? Seeing none, do I have a motion to accept the names as written?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried. Last item on the agenda is appointment of the Recreation Advisory Committee. Mayor Gary McCarthy.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Have one name. There's a number of vacancies on the Recreation Advisory Board. She had expressed some interest before and just haven't gotten the other names together. It was moving that forward, and if individuals have somebody else that you'd like to put forward, let me know. As the weather turns a little bit warmer and nicer, we start to think about our parks and recreation opportunities within the city, and we have to get the board filled up.
I just had 2 questions. I was reading up on it just because, to your point, it hasn't been called to order recently. And were there any specific objectives you were looking forward to? And then also my second question was, it did read that there was the involvement of the superintendent of schools, so I didn't know if either of those were considerations.
I have had a generic conversation with the superintendent about his role or making sure a designee is appointed so that they advocate for the school district. There have not been any detailed follow-up discussions since that, what I'll call more generic conversation, probably 8 weeks ago.
And then just the first part, any intentional ask or desired outcomes you're looking for from the commission?
Looking to have Rich Paterni continue as the chair of it. And when they were reactivated, going back almost a decade ago, the first thing was to do an inventory of the parks. And then we systematically went through, adding money to the capital budget, making improvements and looking to expand the programs. Would probably look at this point again to go back where we have a lot more activity. We've done a lot of investment in the parks, is to look for, again, those areas where we want to make additional improvements and work with this group as we market the swimming pool. We're going to complete the tennis courts this summer. The golf course is the problem of too many people wanting to play. We've had the tennis courts in the other areas of the community doing very well. There's the interest in the skateboard park. And it's to look at those things, trying to finish up Steinmetz Park. There's been neighborhood interest in Carey Street. And how do you balance all those things going forward as we look at going into the 27 and 28 capital budgets?
Thank you.
Any other comments, questions, or concerns? Seeing none, do I have a motion to accept the name as written for the appointment for Recreation Advisory Committee?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
It's been first and properly seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried. And I just want to personally thank all those who put their names in for these appointments and every citizen that is finding themselves involved inside of our city and trying to better it, especially the parks part of it as we get to, as I've had the pleasure of serving on Carey Street, as well as Jay Burrell, and seeing those parks start the revitalization process that they have now. With that, do I have a motion to close government operations?
So moved.
Do I have a second? Properly, all those in favor?
Aye.
Committee is closed.
All right, calling Health and Rec to order. We have one item on the agenda. CR supporting the Schenectady Food Council.
Thank you, Madam Chairwoman. So this was put on the agenda with appreciation to President Williams and Mr. Toro. Many of us were at the Schenectady Shares event, and I got the chance to speak with Reverend Dustin, and he said that he would like the council to have a ceremonial resolution to support the Schenectady Food Council, especially with everything that goes on in our communities with the struggle to get food and the with the cuts to SNAP and everything coming down from the federal level. So I would appreciate to have this moved to the council for next week.
I would like to move this.
I'll second.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, motion carried, so close committee.
So move.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried.
Finish my
We're adjourned.
So I'd like to call to order City Development and Planning. We have 14 items for discussion. However, we're going to include a 15th, which is going to be a discussion executive session at the request of the mayor. The first item is going to be the award bid and contract for the Crane Street, Chrysler Avenue, and Main Street intersection improvement. The base bid and alternate number 1 to Callahan Industries Incorporated, and the total amount of $1,361,107.50. Mr. Wallen.
Thank you. This is a construction improvement project at a very busy intersection in the Mount Pleasant neighborhood. It is a project where we were awarded multimodal grant funding of $500,000 for. We have spent some of the funding for the design. The rest of the money will be spent out of our CHIPS allocation, which is our New York State annual allocation. project is to Callahan. We've done quite a bit of work with Callahan, maybe not as late, but we have worked with them quite a bit and have no issues with their bid.
Thank you. Any questions or comments? Hearing none, may I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
The next item for discussion is determining the J Street Connector project as a unlisted action and will not have a negative impact on the environment. Mr. Wallen?
J Street Connector, it's out to bid right now.
Oh, I apologize. I think I properly read that. It's a resolution authorizing the city of Schenectady as a lead agency under the seeker.
Yeah. So J Street Connector is a DRI project. It's been on the books for quite a while. A lot of that had to do with property transactions and environmental work that was necessary given the site that we are developing on. Several sessions ago in December, we did a declare of lead agency where the city council declared itself lead agency. I sent out letters to all the involved agencies. We got concurrence from all of those agreeing with City of Schenectady's lead agency. Then we moved on to what's in here is the part 2 and part 3 about environmental impacts from the project. If you're aware of the project location, that area is also a roadway and a parking lot and a road already. It has been developed from our Alco site. So we went through the process and determined that the construction of the project will have no negative impact on the surrounding environment. And we're asking the city council to concur and file a neg deck, which the mayor will then sign after it's passed by the council.
Thank you. Any questions or comments? Hearing none, may I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
The next item for discussion is to authorize the issuance of revocable permit number 694 to the Good IC LLC for a sign that will overhang the city's right-of-way on the face of the building at 508 State Street. Mr. Wallen?
Fairly straightforward. This is a projecting sign over the right-of-way, not a blade sign, just a simple sign on a post. It will overhang the right-of-way on the building complex near the Nest, Foster Avenue building area. All the paperwork is in order. Planning and development is signed off, so we'd like to move forward.
Thank you. Any questions or comments?
I'll
Hearing
move
none.
this.
Second.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
The next item for discussion is a ceremonial resolution recognizing the ladies of the Asian Order of Hibernians. Mr. Toro?
Yes, thank you. So we all, I know, received an invitation to attend the 125 anniversary gala on Saturday, December 18th at the Edison downtown. So this organization was founded in 1901. They're celebrating 125 years of friendship, unity, and Christian charity.
Thank you. Any questions or comments?
I'll move this.
Second.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
The next item for discussion is the review of the neighborhood revitalization strategy area. We had a public hearing last week. We had one person to come up and speak. Deputy Clerk, can you please ensure that those meeting notes were sent to the Planning and Development Department? Were there any questions or comments? Hearing none, I will entertain a motion to have this for final consideration.
So moved.
Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
The next item for discussion will be LASGO. Appreciate Mr. Wong coming up and speaking. I know we've heard some just comments and concerns regarding the first iteration of how this was presented to the community. In conversations with Mr. Wallen, there were steps that were taken, and I thought it would be very informative to the community just to identify what some of those adjustments have been as things have hopefully been adjusted moving forward. Mr. Wallen?
So the two items that had come up during the rollout of the LASGO program were the hold on people's cards and the time blocks. So I'll start with the holds. What a hold is that on the program when you would scan the QR code, enter the information, what we want to do is, most districts other than State Street, you were allowed to select your amount of time, say 2 hours, and if your lunch or your meeting went longer, you were allowed to extend that. That required what was commonly called a hold, which would be that they would charge you for the maximum amount, not charge, that's the wrong term, they would hold the maximum amount possible, which was $25, until the session was finalized. And when the session was finalized, they would bill the correct or appropriate rate. However, what we were finding was that people were linking the account, we believe, to debit cards, and and sometimes they did not have actually the amount of monetary in the account, so it would flag. And so if you had $20 and they wanted to do a hold of 25, they were getting notifications, and they were confused as to why they were being told that it was 25 when they're really only trying to do 225. So what we did is we worked with LASGO and Metroplex, and we eliminated the hold. However, what that did was it just made the sessions a simple session. So if you go and you say that you are doing a 2-hour session at City Hall, it is a 2-hour session at City Hall. If you would like to extend that session, you would have to start a new session. You are not permitted to extend it, because you say 2 hours, you get billed 2 hours, the hold is gone. So since we have done that, the complaints about it have gone to zero. Similarly, the other issue we had was really just an oversight, was that during the process, it was supposed to have been in half-hour blocks, and that button didn't get clicked, so we were doing hour blocks. So it was $2 an hour, and it was supposed to have been $2 an hour, but prorated for 30 minutes, so $1, $1. Once we were informed of that by the public who was using it, I contacted LAS, they went in the system, they clicked the box, the system was fixed. So those two things, we made those adjustments within the first, I would say, 10 days of operating the program. I did speak with LAS, and I spoke with our SPD Enforcement Bureau, and they said over the past 30 days, they have not received any complaints regarding the system. So that is a positive, that the two biggest issues have been eliminated and remediated. However, if there are other issues that this council has heard about, feel free to let me know.
Any questions or comments? Mr. Toro?
I'd like to thank you. I'd like to thank you very much, because I was very frustrated the first few times I used it. I happened to be meeting Mr. Williams somewhere, and I had no quarters. Everybody was running into Villa Italia, getting quarters from the exchange machine. I didn't have my credit card. It was just extremely confusing. And I said, why did we do this? We looked at each other, so thank you. It's worked very well for me moving forward. I do miss the app, but I don't mind the QR code. I'm familiar with that, but people can still use change in it.
Correct, and the kiosks.
Thank you.
Mr. Woodbury, was your hand raised? Right, Mr. Chairs?
So I appreciate that you've done all the work on this and everything else. Now with the opportunity, I know you made the fix from before. Is there any chance that later on that you'd be able to do the extension without the hold, or is that not possible?
No, they are actually working on that. They are trying, it comes down to essentially their provider, their financial institution, so they are trying to work, because they realize the value that that has to be able to extend and not end your session. And they are working on that.
Thank you.
And I just had one question. I know there were a lot of confusion about having to re-input the same information. I know there is a consideration where you can make a profile. Would you mind speaking on that?
So if you were to go on the LASGO, actually their website, there is a link there to create a parking profile. So I went through that actually on Thursday and created a parking profile. And when you scan the QR code and it comes up with the information, you can enter that you are a member and log in. And then once you log in, it does have your information there. So that is something that we are trying to get the message out there, even to local employees and people in the area that use it. I actually don't use the system because I park in the city a lot, so I don't use it a lot, but I did go through and for this meeting and go through the system and log in. So it is possible. It's just one of those things where you have to know to find it, because we really tried to keep the messaging on the signs simple. Here's a QR code, this is what we're looking at, because we do feel that more information on the signs, the more you tend to get lost in the information. But that is something that it is available, I think, on the Park Schenectady website where they talk about that.
Perfect. So if there are no further questions or concerns, sincerely to Mr. Toro's point, thank you for your responsiveness. And I think this is just another intentional opportunity for us to inform ourselves. And if you are having those issues or concerns, please share them, because they do help us ensure that these processes moved out are impacting you in the intended manner. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
The next item for discussion is the City Code Chapter 161-20, the public collection and disposal of solid waste, and next steps. So I talked ad nauseum last council meeting, and I'd love to hear any opinions or feedback. I think my recommendation rested on transitioning to bins, but sincerely, I'd love to do more listening, and I hope everyone's had the opportunity to kind of think more about what next steps with trash look like throughout the city. So, opening up for comments. Mr. Chairs.
So I appreciated the conversation and our dialogue about it, the bins, and just looking at all the options, one financially as well for the city and people who's connected to the transitional periods that we're going to have with doing whatever we do. One of the things that I was looking at after we talked and we had a brief conversation as well in the clerk's office, the council as we were coming in and out, was about one having like an amnesty day per quarter as well for bulk items to try to one eliminate those jackpots. And as I was doing research on different communities that use it, I came across the cost of what it would be to actually purchase a grappling garbage truck for the city of Schenectady as well, which would handle those bulk items up to about 82 meters of trash with the loading capacity about 30,000, which the city could either rent or own based on financial feasibility, which would allow us to handle those calls when we have that, right? So if you had a truck out and you come across one of those bulk items, we'll say that is beyond what we knew for a regular truck, they can make the call in, and we'd have that specialized truck on hand in our city that can handle those. And then as I was continuing thinking, since we already have C-Click Fix as well, utilizing that tool that we have where people can schedule, instead of just waste collection issues, they can actually schedule for the bulk items to go through, which might be a little simpler for those instead of having to come down. Maybe if we continue with the sticker program, instead of having to get stickers, they can go right online, use that app, and schedule their time. So this way our collection, our sanitation workers are able to budget out their scheduling for what's going to be out front.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments? Mr. Toro.
Thank you. So, again, working quite a while, thinking about trash for quite a while. So a few things, searching out different cities that do supply bins for residents. Right now in Houston and New York City and California, I think it's Carmel, there's a huge backlog of bins that individuals can't get a hold of, and it kind of causes a nightmare. The city of Troy has something kind of interesting where they supply bins for residents that wear a truck with a lift, 96-gallon cans, where a truck with a lift, which we might have the capability of doing on certain streets, can actually go in and do that. But they don't supply bins for the other residents who have a manual disposal. But they are required to provide their own bins through the city. And they're fined, it would be a fine, and they do fine individuals that don't use the city cans. The cans need to be, or the receptacles need to be extremely hard resin with a top that's attached to it. So that was one thing. I think the fairest way to go, but it doesn't seem too feasible for us, was pay as you use, pay as you throw. A lot of cities use that, pay as you throw. And they buy individual trash bags on Amazon with our logo crest on it, and they'd still be also the city of Troy still has about a $300 annual fee for residents on top of having a can. I guess our biggest issue, well, let me just stay on focus here, pay as you throw. So you would actually pay for the bags that you buy. 13-gallon bags. They come in different sizes. And knowing, like you'd have to buy bags at a grocery store or somewhere else, they'd be available. City Hall and different retailers. And cities have even gone as far as having them on Amazon without an extra fee attached to the price of the bags. That way you're paying for the bag and the city gets a profit off of the bags themselves. That's kind of I would think the fairest way, but again, it creates different options like our stickers, things like that. And we still have to address the fact of how much waste each individual needs to have. So if we decide on 6 bags, 7 bags, a 96-gallon can could probably hold 11 or 12 bags. again, we have to decide on what we're going to do. In speaking with Mr. LaFond and people from AFME, you know, we have a chance to do this right, so we really need to think about it, figure out what we're going to do, put a quota on things and do it right. Something like Mr. Chairs is suggesting, I still think the sticker program has to be in place for bulk items, but perhaps once, you know, once a quarter, we do a pickup of in each neighborhood that day, but not anything over, like, I think maybe 6 cubic, it was like 6 by 6 by 6 would be like a couch and a chair, and, you know, we'd have to put an amount on that too that we would be willing to pick up. And also I read about some municipalities that have coupon days, and I realize a lot of people don't have a vehicle to get stuff to the transfer station, but there'd be, you know, a couple of times a year a free coupon day where they could go get a sticker from us, one of our stickers, and they could bring a certain amount of trash to our transfer station as an option as well. In attending most neighborhood association meetings, and especially SLIP meetings, which deals with a lot of landlords in our city, personally, they like a different tier program where they could pay more money for their 3 units that they own, and they, you know, most of them at the SLIP meetings like something like that, willing to pay the extra so that the city would come and be able to pick up everything like they used to. Unfortunately, a lot of times that gets passed along to the tenant in the building, but it also prevents the landlords from getting a lot of fines that also get passed on somehow to the tenants in the building. So you know, I've looked into a lot of different things, and I think we need to do whatever we're going to do. We have to do it right, and we have to have limits on it. And I'd love to hear. Oh, he left. I'd love to hear from Mr. What did he say? LaFond, since he's, I guess, you know, he can do a lot of, most knowledgeable on trash in the city. Working alongside of Mr. Lunn as well, who's done a lot of research on trash, and I'd be so interested to hear more about this cardboard that we're collecting, and especially how the residents now can put it out where we can collect it, bring it to the old puddles, actually get money for it, which comes back into the city. So I guess that's what I've been doing for the past few weeks. So
Thank you. Mr. Inger?
So I think that trash has become one of those hot button issues that, you know, everybody has a feeling on, and like Mr. Toro said, I think if we have a chance to do it, so let's do it right. So I did appreciate, Mr. Williams, your ideas on bulk collection. I think that I agree with Mr. Chair. I think we should do one every quarter. I do think we should put a limit on it, because I know that, like Mr. Toro said, some residents don't have the ability to get to the transfer station and bring their bulk items to the transfer station. So I think that with having one every quarter, it allows us to say to residents, you're still allowed to throw out those items, but in limits. So, you know, you're allowed to clean out your garage 4 times a year. You're allowed to clean out your attic 4 times a year. If people clean out their attic 4 times a year, good for them. Or if somebody only cleans out their attic once a year. So I think that I like that idea. And then as far as trash collection, I think that moving to a can limit and the city providing cans, I think that is an idea. I think we have to figure out how much it would cost the city and how much it would cost the residents. I think that it solves the other issue of litter in the city, because if we tell residents they have to put the garbage bags in a can, it stops the animals from ripping the bag open and then the garbage being all over the street and piling up everywhere else. So I definitely feel comfortable going down that route, but I'd like to hear from Mr. LaFond to see what he thinks. I think the other thing we didn't address that was brought up last meeting was the amount of times a person's garbage days changes. So I'd like to hear thoughts on how we can change that. You know, I don't think any of us are expecting our garbage men to work on Christmas or on Thanksgiving, but maybe having that discussion and thinking about, you know, do we push it off a week for Christmas and Thanksgiving, whereas, you know, now we just trying to keep it the same day so it doesn't change 10, 11, 12 times over the course of a year. So I'd like to hear what everybody else thinks.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments before we invite Ms. LaFond up? So I'd say hearing none. Ms. LaFond?
Good evening.
Thank you for making the time. Sincerely would appreciate any...
As we all know, garbage collection is a little bit of a house fight. There's 9 here.
Oh, dear Lord.
Trash. I've been up here an awful lot to talk about trash. There's a lot of ideas floating around, whether it's cans, whether it's bags. Current city code says all trash has to be in a plastic bag, can be put into a garbage can, or it can be left outside in the bag. And the bag does do one thing. The bag has to be tight. It does reduce litter. There's always a possibility that, you know, animals will get in at night. And if you put it in a can, it's a little bit safer. The thing with cans is you have a question, who's going to purchase the can? Is it going to provide the can? They're going to provide 2 cans, one for recycle, one for trash. Now, the residents of a house that have, they need more than 1 can. Are they going to buy the 2nd can and the 3rd can and maybe a 4th can because they just generate a lot of trash? Is that on them? And then the cans themselves, we have a limit to 45 gallons right now in the city code because our staff, that's what the union feels they can lift, 50 pounds, and bring it to the truck. And there was some discussion about, you know, the one-arm truck that takes it, but with the parking that's in the city of Schenectady, it'd be very difficult to do because the cars are parked all over the streets. The truck can't get to that can. If you left it out on the road, it's a traffic hazard, it's going to cause accidents, and the truck would have to put it back down on the road. Again, the picture you saw, that was Friday. You might have saw this photo before, but they emptied their house. A lot of it's bulk items. The bags are all on the end. There must be 30 bags. They're all contractor bags. They're not the typical 13-gallon bag that you would use in your kitchen. You know, we did what we could for that property with regards to some citations, but you know, right now the city code says if it's on the curb, we pick it up. So. My theory is this: if you put the garbage in the bag like the city code says, and they're 13-gallon bags, and you want to put it in a can, that's great. There is some guidance out there by the EPA with regards to how much trash should be generated by a household or a resident. And no matter how you look at it, it comes out to roughly 5 to 6 bags per week. Okay, so that's based on 2.3 people per household. And if you look at the census, it's 2.3. I think we did it to 2.5, so you're around 5 to 6 bags. Again, it comes down to what do we want to pick up for the fee structure that's there. And we propose a budget. We ask for increases in the cost to collect trash because it does go up annually. Union benefits go up, rates, salaries go up, tip fees go up. I can assume we'll get a fairly high surcharge for fuel next month because of the way the fuel prices are going up. So our costs are always climbing, and it's never set. So the fees, you know, we try and play catch up. Good year, maybe your budget matches your revenue. Bad year, breakdowns, fuel costs, tip fees go up, they don't. So, you know, every year we prepare our budget, we ask for rate increases, and again, should that person pay the same as a person who put 2 bags out for that day? No, it's, you know, we don't call it a jackpot, but now it's excessive. So,
But isn't this charged from a homeowner?
yeah, but under the city code, we pick it up. there are no limits set for the amount of trash or the amount of bulk items you can pick up right now. If you look at that, there's a number of bulk items there.
Yeah.
Back in November, I think we had some numbers, we were about 9% down on trash. And, yes, the sticker program, like anything, it was a startup program. It's going to have its pros and its cons. But trash was down by 9%. And I want to think there was two reasons. One, people in general aren't going out and buying as much because of the economy. Okay, they're being a little more careful what they buy, what gets thrown out nowadays. The other is the bulk system. I think, we brought in about $20,000 in revenue. It did work. It was a deterrent because landlords live outside the city and they got their mattresses and they got their dressers and they bring it to their rental units because it's free, or family members want to drop it off. Well, you couldn't do it no more. Somebody had to pay for it, and if it wasn't paid for, there was a violation. So I think that did reduce the amount of trash that we picked up, through last summer and into the fall. But again, with no limits on bulk or no limits on trash, what do we do? What do we charge? There has to be a base fee for the base amount of garbage, and anything extra is additional because we're paying it for one way or another. It's still going to come out of the general fund. It's going to come out of our, it's going to come out through the taxpayer somewhere. It may not be in the tax fee, but if we're over our budget, it comes out of the general fund still. So whether it's through the reserves, it's still being paid for by the city.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments? Mr. Chairs.
Just for data purposes, because that's on my mind, which I know you said it's 2.3 people per data point of this. Is there anything that would show, just so we can get, say, and I appreciate the average that we gave for a family of 4, right? Because I'm just, my mind's spinning, right? I'm on the average family that lives in the city of Schenectady, maybe like, let's say 2 kids, mother, father, whatever, or 2 older people and their grandkids, whatever you want to play, right, number-wise. So what would that look like if you were to give me that, say, number with a family of 4? And I know you don't have it now, but I'm just...
We can look at some things, but, again, larger family, generate more garbage. But it's like that on the commercial side. If you are outside the city and you look at the way commercial trash is picked up, outside city limits, or you have the private haulers, they get a can for recycle. Usually comes with their account. And then they pay for their first can, and it's typically a 92 or 95 gallon can, okay? Because they have the truck that picks up the water. Now, if you can fit 6 bags in there, you're good. If you got 8 bags every week, you're going to buy that second can, even though there's only 2 bags in there. The commercial hauler is still going to charge you for that second can, whether or not you got 1 bag in it, whether you got, or a light day, you weren't home 4 days a week, you're still going to pay the annual fee for that second can, whether you use it or not. Here in the city, currently, what you put on the curb, we're taking. It could be 10 bags, it could look like that, it could be 1 bag. But the property owners who are taking advantage of it, putting out that much trash, they're the ones that are drawing our costs up. We're not collecting for that. And we can look at some numbers, but, again, we've looked at trucks with the lift on the back. When you have cans, we all know how hard, and Councilmember Williams was out, he's been with our trash collectors all the time. He's been out on a run with them. They're out there and they're trying to get done. Every route has to be done that day. We don't have tomorrow to go back to finish a route. So trash is the one thing in the OGS and the service we provide that has to be done that day. We can't go back tomorrow and finish where we left off. It has to be done, it has to be collected. Bringing cans out and moving cans like that, 1, 2, 3 cans at a time, and bringing them back to the curb is going to add a lot of more time for those routes to get done. If you have to hook it to a hook and lift it, well, now you're waiting for that to dump 1, come back down, and you put the second can on. If you ever watched our guys how they work, sometimes on the other side of the street, they're grabbing bags and they're walking and putting them in. It's very fast paced, and we have 8 hours to do it. They work hard, and they get it done. The other was, I know the question came up about the rotating the days. As far back as I can remember, even as a child living here, a holiday always moved your trash by 1 day. If you were to try and collect that trash on the holiday, you'd be asking our guys to come in for double time. There's an impact. We're all looking at impacts of cost because we're deciding how much to take. That would be double time for them. The other is the transfer stations aren't open. We have to renegotiate an agreement with the transfer station and pay their rates to have them come home, stay there. The other is typically on a Sunday, the tractor trailers aren't loaded and they're not going to the landfill through western New York, so those trucks would have to stay at the transfer station fully loaded. So there's a lot of other variables to trying to collect trash on a holiday. I mean, the one came up where you would just skip it for the week, and then pick it up. Again, then you gotta make the arrangements for that person's trash to be a little bit over the following week if you put limits. And we know people are gonna have extra trash on Christmas. We know they're gonna have it on the Thanksgiving long weekend. And those are the things you just work with. It would be just common sense and a courtesy. If there's a couple extra bags after Christmas, you're gonna take it. It's never gonna be perfect.
Thank you. Did you have another follow-up question?
If you would like, President.
Yep.
So I know that 2 weeks ago that the council president had brought up the notion of not working on the holidays, and we were talking about it, but moving it one day and moving it back to your original day, right? So if your Christmas on Tuesday, your pickup day's on Tuesday, obviously it would just move to Wednesday, and then would just go back to Tuesday instead of moving forward every over.
But then you're moving everybody, and the way our calendars are printed, there's going to be a lot of confusion for some of the other people looking at those calendars saying, okay, it was this last week, I'm moving 1 week, then the next week I'm going back, and, trash will be out there. It'll be out there early. Because, that's why we have the calendar. The calendar, lets everybody know what day is going to be the white goods day. It knows that everything jumps for a holiday. The calendar's been going out for, I don't know how many years, It would be confusing. It would have to be, the calendars would have to be redone, or it would start in 27. But I think there still would be a lot of confusion because people still get confused around the holiday, and now you're jumping the holiday and then jumping back.
Yeah. Over 35 years, people still get confused right now. So,
calendar's been on it.
I've been alive for a little bit, and so, like you said, it's been that way. So people are still confused with the calendar schedule. So I get it. Thank you.
So definitely thank you for your time. I just wanted to touch on some points. I know you were highlighting that don't really see the issue with trash if we have bags, but anecdotally I've seen it myself, and I know the council members and anyone listening, unless you can definitively say that if there's trash in front of people's lawn that are not within bags, they'll get picked up. I think that leads to support Mr. Ingrid's conversation of the litter that is just naturally blowing throughout the city. I think that is part of my initial concern. I mentor with my brother's keeper. The reason why I'm saying that is there was one phrase that was used, and it was that you can never outperform your self-image. And sincerely, when you drive throughout the city of Schenectady, you see trash. And I think the way that people view our city is in that same context. And that is why we have a lot of just trash and a constant misappropriation of systems. And I think people often misconstrue Schenectady for a poor city, but I would argue the opposite. I think our resources are often taken for granted. So we are paying for not just our residents, but also for the trash that's coming in from other municipalities likewise. So I really think we have to address the enforcement issue, and that is where, unless we think at any one point in time our staff are going to be counting bags, I think regardless of whether there is additional workload, I think we have to address just the cleanliness of our city as a byproduct of anything that we do here, and that is why I feel very comfortable around receptacles. My question to you would be, has there ever been any consideration for grants? Because I know that I've found one, and it says that it pays up to 50% with a max at $2 million, but it would have the ability for us to not only purchase receptacle containers, but also if we're looking at the appropriateness of trash, I have not heard conversations about composting throughout the city of Schenectady, and I know that for historical precedents, Zoller Elementary School is doing a phenomenal job doing this. And the fact that we do not have these, to my understanding, throughout the city, I think that is also a point of consideration that would be appropriate within this funding stream to help just reduce the overall amount of trash.
When you say composting, what are they composting? Food waste?
Yes.
Okay. Again, whether it's bags or cans, right now the city code says that you can use plastic bags, you can put them in your can. Most people in everybody's household, they're not putting their trash in their food waste in just a plastic can and then putting it outside of the top line. They're using plastic bags, then they bring it out and they put it in a can. It's really a double protection. If you're putting in bags, The code says if it's in a bag, it's in a can, we take it. If the bag is next to the can, we take it. Or if they're just bags without cans, we take it, as long as it's closed and sealed. Cans are great. I know that we would have to keep a fairly hefty inventory of cans because the cans that are done in the commercial industry are weighted cans, 95 gallons. So typically they don't blow down the road. Now, last week, there was cans all over the city. Lids, cans, and everything. So you'd have to have a can that is somewhat heavier. And heavier cans are bigger cans, and we're still limited to what contractually our guys are allowed to pick up, which is a 45-gallon can. So, and when these cans are damaged, whether it's by our staff or just by wind or by somebody, the city's going to replace them. They're going to get the calls that you have to replace my can. You have to replace my can. And they would all have to be the same identical can, so we know that they are a city authorized can and not just a Home Depot or Walmart can that somebody puts out there, because we would only be dumping those specific cans. Then again, if there's trash out there, are we going to leave it or are we going to pick it up and then do an enforcement? Because we don't have time to leave trash on the curb and go back tomorrow and redo the route over again. That's why with the bulk items, we were trying to photo it, do a violation, but we were picking it up because you can't just leave it there indefinitely. We go through with the route, we take all the trash. The other option is you come up with a number, you go back to 18 months ago, and you take it all, but it's got to equal to our costs and our future costs going forward, because we don't know what those future costs are with regards to mechanical breakdowns, fuel surcharges, tip fees. So, there are some cities that just had just a $525 fee. That's what every household pays for. And if you get a 2-unit, it's double that. If it's 3, it's triple that. And they take everything, just like we were doing 18 months ago. We have to make sure our costs are being covered by the fees. Now, the other person that gets hurt here is we don't like to raise rates for the taxpayers and stuff, but our staff that goes out and picks this up every day in the rain and the snow and stuff, when we have a financial issue with the city, it's reflected on them. We're not going to get maybe more compensation because we don't have the funds to do it for them. So they're paying for it too.
Oh, well, I would say that's misleading. I think if there are raises allotted that are union negotiated or that are considerations for the department, those are given to them. I think what you're highlighting is the complexities of, I'm only speaking about myself, me raising fees for a system that we know is inefficient. I don't think propping that up with more taxpayer dollars is appropriate. I very much, and I would love to hear the mayor's comment specifically with regard to the cost of the previous request for bins, but sincerely, I want it to be stated, I support us adequately funding this department with the conversation that's been happening around this table, with us addressing the root cause issues, and that has not happened ever. And I think if we're just going to put Band-Aids on it, I think it is improper for us as fiscal stewards of the city to just throw money at this issue. So I think to what everyone has highlighted, we have to fix the issue. And if that means going back down to seeing what it would cost to have either one day flex forward for holidays, I think just because we haven't done it doesn't mean we can't consider it. If X amount of dollars is what's expected, what we're telling our taxpayers is, here are our options. Which one do you feel comfortable with? Because if we're not going to make these adjustments and we're just going to identify a fee, this is what it is. What would you like? So I think we're just looking at options.
There's a lot of options. Like I said, you still have to have a base amount or a volume of garbage that you're going to pick up for X fee.
And before I go to Ms. Wiggins, is there a tonnage of weekly or daily trash that is estimated to be picked up?
No, that varies. I mean, even by neighborhood. I mean, the trash is picked up on a route on a daily basis, varies every day. It depends if there's a holiday. It depends on a lot of different things. That right there, for that route, that's probably a big day for there. Somebody cleaned out the whole house. So trash varies every day. It's tracked every day. There's weight tickets. Every route, we know what is disposed of on every route, and we know what's disposed of via every truck. But it just varies throughout the city.
Thank you. Ms. Wiggins?
I was reviewing some past notes, and Mayor had stated that he had an education body that he wanted to bring in to educate us on garbage and the way they do it in Albany. We never got to that.
Mr. Mayor, would you like to comment on that?
I requested to present that to the council. That was removed from the agenda by prior council president. That was then rescheduled, supposedly rescheduled, and then never added to the actual agenda. And I'm now looking to put it on for the next cycle to line up the individuals from the Center for Technology and Government.
Yep, and then just to provide more context, those discussions were planned during our highly just labor-intensive discussions around the budget proceedings. So I'm not trying to put any words into prior council president's mindset, but I think it was just balancing the weightedness of just over-strenuous, or just balancing the considerations to what we could actually deliberate in a session, and then also just considerations for when those presentations were forwarded. But I've had a conversation with Mr. Mayor and definitely look forward to having that. And I think it's definitely will address some of our enforcement compliance issues with being able to.
Still don't have it 100% set up, but we're looking pretty good.
hopeful. Definitely leaning more towards technology, 2026. Mr. Chairs?
I'm gonna go back to just because as we were talking about, I want to see if you had a number for us, because I know the mayor had asked in the last committee meeting about a number, right? Asking the council to put a number to it when we were doing bags or whatever per household, and I'm seeing the 2.3 people per household. Did you have a cubic meter number that we could?
Oh, we had it based on bags, and it's 6 bags, 6 13-gallon bags per household.
6 13 gallon. That was it. Just no other cubic meter number. I know he had asked.
And that's not.
Okay.
It's not taking into consideration bulk items. Bulk items still have to be disposed.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, and that would be, 12 for a two-family, 18 for a three-family. But again, that was a recommendation. Council has to really decide on what you want for, a limit on trash.
And I think just, again, what makes it difficult though is the inability to provide like an estimated tonnage per day, per week. It makes it difficult to assign like an average set of bags. And then if we're to enforce it, if you provide a bag over, that is considered excess. And if we do not hold that individual accountable, I think we are then counterintuitively working against ourselves. So that is where I think having the bin provides more variability, right, adds more variability. And then to your point, Ms. LaFawn, if you need an additional bin, you can just purchase that. You can prorate it, identify that later on. But I think if we strong arm ourselves to bags, I think it makes it difficult because holidays do exist and our schedules do fluctuate consistently. It makes it difficult to impossible to enforce bags based on the variability of our schedules and pickups. But I think I would like to ask you, Ms. LaFawn, there was a lot of conversations tonight and I'm very excited. Thank you sincerely to the council for rising up to the occasion. Would it be appropriate to send this to you in a document of just stuff to look into? And what I mean by stuff is it's clear that the council does not have all the answers to this situation, but collaboratively leaning into the city hall staff, the mayor's office to look further into the grant applications and what are available to our city with state dollars, but also leaning into your experience. I think collaboratively we can figure this out. And again, I don't have any expectations of this addressing 2026. It is truly us getting into 2027 and having a common understanding ahead of our budget season. And if we identify a system that works on paper, that is one that I'm confident we can all support fiscally, and then we put our best foot forward for next year.
And we are, like Deputy Commissioner Long is looking into a grant currently with regards to cardboard. Cardboard is the one commodity that we started now sort of separating from the recycle. So there is now that we pull cardboard out, which is heavy, we pull that out and we dispose of that separately. Where there is a little bit of revenue, not much, but it also takes it out of the waste stream. So what that does is it puts us another 2 trucks out there to take just cardboard. Because under the city code, cardboard is supposed to be separate, tied and bundled. And we know cardboard is just growing because Amazon, Prime, everybody's getting stuff delivered to your house all in cardboard boxes. So now in the last month, we've started pulling out cardboard times it don't work is when it's pouring out and it gets wet. The recycle plant does not want saturated, soaking wet cardboard. But yeah, so we are continuously looking for ways to reduce the city's cost, which will reduce the taxpayers' cost too.
Perfect. So if there are now further questions or comments, if I compile a list with the deputy clerk, get those to you after the rest of the council kind of thumbs up, make sure I didn't misconstrue anyone's comments. If we can get those questions answered by next session, I'm really excited at what we can do beyond this discussion already. Thank you, Mr. Lafond.
You're welcome.
So moving to the next item.
Thanks, Paul.
I know we were including the previous conversation of trash with the bulk sticker program, but looking at the bulk sticker program separately with the next agenda item. Any questions or comments? I know there were people making comments in the other discussion. If you wouldn't mind just reiterating those for anyone listening, just so it's continuity. Mr. Chair.
Just a reiteration of same process for bulk sticker program, making it easier using Click Fix as a digital option instead of making everyone have to come down to get stickers, making that an option that we already use to make it easier and accessible. That's the way that we want to go with them paying the right pay-as-you-throw process inside of the bulk item.
Thank you. Ms. Toro.
Oh, thank you. I will say, when you brought composting, so whether it's bins or pay-as-you-throw or whatever, those things automatically promote composting because individuals want to save their trash can for trash. So they do promote it, by having that. So I don't want to buy an extra bag when I can put it out in the yard and compost things, and especially recycle. A lot of people probably don't. They throw everything in the regular trash. So it does promote recycling and composting. And I did want to say that as far as bulk was concerned too, there should be a schedule. Call, schedule your pickup. A lot of municipalities have that as well. But again, with a sticker program, or they call, they schedule it, we pick it up during their specific week of the month that maybe we're going to pick up bulk. And we send the truck out, and then they're sent an invoice for, to pay versus having a sticker on it. But again, those are all just things we need to think about.
Mr. Marico.
I'll defer.
So I think that the current sticker program we have was not thought well enough. I think that, to Mr. Toro's point, having a sticker program, I think, was frustrating for the residents just because and many of us heard it at the doorstep last year, you had to go to City Hall, you had to use either cash or cleared funds. I think, for elderly people having to come down, they didn't understand it. Many people we got to the door, they didn't understand that the sticker program was something that existed. So I think on top of all of this, I think education is also going to be a big ticket item, because how can we make sure we educate the public to whatever changes we make and expect them to conform to these changes? So I think, and specifically with bulk trash, I like Mr. Chair's idea of either we do it every quarter, every month, however we come up with that. But I also like to stress, I think there needs to be limits to it as well, because obviously looking at these pictures, this is an astronomical amount of trash. So how do we hold these people responsible when, we have Jane that lives on Baker that throws out a chair, and we're picking up all this, but we're telling her chair she has to pay for. So I think we definitely need to limit those bulk items, but make sure that we make it known to the residents and educate the residents to whatever changes we make.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments?
I also think that when people buy houses and people get evicted, that they should invest as a property owner in getting bins. So get rid of their own trash. That shouldn't fall on the city.
And I apologize, Mr. Mayor. I had your hand raised.
Just to follow up on Councilmember Wiggins, we have started to purchase some dumpsters, so that we would make those available to homeowners or businesses to, again, makes it a lot easier that we can put that there 24 hours, 48 hours, pull it out and dump it. Just going back to the point of composting, composting sounds good. It's a great project. There is a byproduct of it, it's smell, depending on how it's done. And so you're sitting in this room talking about it, it might be a good idea. When we get it out in the neighborhoods, it won't quite be as warmly received, especially during the summer months. And the best process, still homeowners with garbage disposals, that, you know, the wastewater treatment plant processes that and does a great job for organic material. And it's a little known fact that the garbage disposal was designed and developed in Schenectady. So just continuing our legacy of innovation here.
Absolutely. So points noted, not in the mayor's backyard. But sincerely, I think it's just looking at just new ways to reduce trash, and then also how to be environmentally cautious and friendly. I think as we look at different organizations like ECOS, I think it's important to make sure we're just looking at this issue, which has been one historically poised for the city of Schenectady to address. And I think at the end of the day, just how do we make use with just an ever-changing climate, just how trash is dispensed, to ensure that we're being officially cautious. So I do like the idea of a C-click fix. I think it's looking at how many departments or individuals support that, because I imagine it would be a considerably higher volume of submitted tickets. But there was also a recommendation from a resident and a caution saying their name, just in case they didn't want to be highlighted. But they recommended having one bulk item scheduled for your pickup at every pickup time. So if you had a couch, or if you had a chair or dresser, every pickup you'd be able to put out one item. And if you wanted to put out multiple items, that is something that would then require you to purchase a sticker or submit a C-click fix. I think at the end of the day, it's just how do we ensure that we are addressing the problem. And I think we all understand the problem is just the output, how much trash is truly reflective of the community, and then what is excessive. It has to just be clearly defined. Just because with the sticker program, I think it was just too much for us to really understand, and then trying to get the community to recognize it. I think more people, to Mr. Ingrid's point, were just confused and you're just frustrated. So unless there are any other questions or comments, I can also compile that listing. And then in a similar sense of the previous solid waste discussion, giving that to the Office of General Services and the mayor for consideration. And then I think with their shared information, coming back to this in 2 weeks with a better understanding, and I think we are truly ahead of the ball. So really excited for all the feedback we had at the table regarding these two matters. If there's nothing more, I'll move on to the next. So the next item for discussion is to amend resolutions 2021-238 and 2024-106 to sell 5 properties to the Land Reutilization Corporation of the Capital District to develop affordable homeownership opportunities in the Mount Pleasant neighborhood. Mr. Brown.
Thank you. We received a request from the Capital Region Land Bank in order to amend those 2 previous resolutions to allow for additional flexibility since there's a change of the funding source to be either rehab for some of them, and some of them will be new construction homes. The Land Bank has already invested over $150,000 into these sites, and they do anticipate the final timeline for construction between 12 and 16 months. Which will result in 5 units of affordable housing.
Thank you. Any questions or comments? Mr. Toro?
Oh, I had a question, I'm sorry. Thank you. What is the legacy city and what's the new funding?
There's, I believe, 2 or 3 different funding sources that they're looking at that they already received approval for. The Legacy Cities Access Program was one of the HCR from the New York State funding sources, where it did require rehabilitation. Some of those sites, unfortunately, are not feasible to rehabilitate in a safe manner, and so therefore, currently the resolution kind of restricts the Land Bank from utilizing other funds in order to be able to do so. So since they do have approved funding sources, I believe in the letter that we provided to the council. It does mention that 2 of the sites will be merged in order to construct, do a new construction, which I believe may be done through the Move in New York program. And then I believe there was another affordable housing. There's a few different HCR programs that they were also looking at.
Ms. Wiggins?
What's their definition of affordable housing?
Well, affordable home ownership opportunities, I think is specifically.
Home ownership.
Yes.
Ms. Chairs?
Is this going to look something similar to what we just had on over on Summit, in Jetta Dix area? The new build, or they're looking to do something different? If they've given you any insight into that?
We have not received specific designs as of yet, but I do know that they are typically very encouraged by the mayor in order to present the different designs so that keep the council abreast as to each step in the process as well.
Thank you.
What I'd like to include for consideration in the committee, I had the opportunity to talk to Mr. Russo, who's the president for the Capital Region Land Bank, and thought there would be a really prominent opportunity to partner more collaboratively with the Seed Center. So the Schenectady Education and Training Center, they have a few programs that provide some developmental assistance, and I think with their funding constantly being in jeopardy year over year, I really see them as a vital resource, not just to these types of efforts, but in ensuring that our younger individuals have opportunities to continue to magnify and showcase their skills. So after a back and forth conversation, he felt comfortable after reaching out to Kristen with us including language that identifies the Seed Center will assist with the maintenance costs and considerations. So what I can do, Ms. Barash, is I can outline just that language just to be included in the resolution, should the rest of the committee support that.
Do you have that? You can just read that for us?
So the language sincerely is just identifying that the Seed Center is going to assist with the maintenance aspects of these developments.
I can support that, yes.
Yeah, I think that encouraging our youth to become involved and to gain vital skills, I think it is definitely something that we all should be on board with. So,
perfect. Thank you. So if there are no other questions or comments, may I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
The next agenda item is the sale of, actually,
That would be in,
yep, these will all be in executive session. Great. So I have a motion to recess.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
We are recessed.
I'd like to call to order claims. We have one item in the agenda, and we need to move to executive session for that. I'd like a motion to move into executive session. Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. I'd ask all the members of the public would have to leave at this time.
It's not, just talk.